news into First Take. The Minnesota Vikings and star wide receiver Justin Jefferson have reached agreement on a 4-year, $140 million contract extension that includes $110 million guaranteed. Sources telling ESPN the deal makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. My goodness, good day to be Justin Jefferson. Stephen A., your reaction to this deal?
He deserves every penny. He's only 24 years of age. He's an absolute stud and a star in this league, widely recognized as the best in the game, if certainly not one of the top 2 or 3. Got hurt last year, missed about 7 games. But prior to that, really didn't miss any games. And we know he's an all-world receiver. And every single season, he's had over 1,000 yards. Had 1,800 yards the year before last when he played all 17 games, 1,600 yards before then, 1,400 yards as a rookie. This brother is the real deal. And having lost Kirk Cousins and having a rookie at the quarterback spot now, you certainly need his greatness on that football field. The Minnesota Vikings did the wise thing, and Justin Jefferson definitely deserves every penny.
You're absolutely right, Stephen A. We knew this was going to come in somewhere north of Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill makes over $30 million a year, but this sets the market. So Jerry Jones, CeeDee Lamb's going to want more than this. Hey, Mike Brown in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase is going to want more than this. This is where the market is heading. So you're going to have to come in around $35 million, $35 and a half, $36 million to appease CeeDee. Now, maybe CeeDee is willing to give a hometown discount. Maybe Jamar Chase is willing to give a hometown discount, Stephen A. But we think these are some of the best top 5, top 6 receivers in all the game, and this is where they're headed with the salary. Go ahead, Stephen A.
Shannon, educate me on this. I don't believe that CeeDee Lamb deserves as much as Justin Jefferson. I look at a Jamar Chase. That's a bad brother. But if you're Cincinnati and you got Joe Burrow and some other weapons, now you lose T. Higgins and what have you, that's a different animal, and I get that. But I think the situation in Cincinnati is different. And in the case of CeeDee Lamb, you with the Cowboys, y'all have had ample opportunity to step up and show what you can do, and that hasn't happened. I'm not saying he don't deserve his bag, but he don't deserve as much or more than Justin Jefferson, in my opinion.
But here's the thing. Jerry always wait till the last minute. That's what got him in trouble with Dak. That's why you had to empty the bag. That's why you had to empty the bank to pay Dak, because you keep pushing it down the road. That balloon payment, you remember when the housing market, everybody was getting those 20,000 square foot home and paying $200 a month, just interest only? And when that balloon payment came in, it ended up crashing the market. That's what happens to Jerry. If he stops kicking the can down the road, he's going to have to come due. Now we know how Cincinnati, how they like to operate, but they did pay Joe Burrow $55 million. You got a situation with T. Higgins. Do you really want to upset Jamar Chase when there's a potential that you're going to lose T. Higgins after next season, even if he comes back and plays on the franchise tag this year? I think they get it done. I think it's going to have to come in somewhere around that same number, because all these guys, you look at the season that CeeDee had Stephen A., it's great. You look at what Jamar Chase has been able to do. He's been able to help get his team to a Super Bowl. So he's like, hey, no matter what y'all think, I understand, but I'm going to need my bread. It's going to come in around that 30. Now, CeeDee, Jerry loves his guys. Stephen A., you know Jerry loves the guys. He looks at them as his sons, the guys that he drafts. That's how he views CeeDee.
That he drafts.
Yeah,
key word there. All right, Jefferson has nearly...
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
When you got options, you do wait as long as you possibly can to sign. Lesson learned.
Interesting. All right, I'll leave you with this.
Options are nice.
Jefferson has nearly 6,000 career receiving yards. That's the most by any player.
Squad today, including Graziano in studio, my NFL insider extraordinaire, with an all-wide receiver edition of Run the Hurry Up. What's going on?
Still waiting to see if Justin Jefferson gets that contract extension done with the Vikings. They have had some desire to get this done prior to their mandatory minicamp, which is this week. So a flashpoint in those discussions. Don't be surprised if you see progress or even a deal on Justin Jefferson. It'll certainly make him the highest paid wide receiver in the league, maybe the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, and it could set some other things in motion with other receivers, including the 49ers' Brandon Ayuk, who has expressed desire for a new contract but still doesn't have one. Interesting note on the Niners. They picked up another $18 million in cap space on Sunday when it became after June 1st. thanks to the Eric Armstead release that made him a post-June 1st cut. That could help them get some deals done, could even help them trade Deebo Samuel and clear some space to pay Brandon Ayuk if that's what they want to do. So watch the 49ers receiver situation here in the next couple of days. And then CeeDee Lamb in Dallas, same situation, looking for a contract extension. Has not been at the voluntary portion of the offseason. This week, as is the case in Minnesota and with 8 other teams, the minicamp in Dallas is mandatory. Will CeeDee Lamb skip that too? We have seen players in recent years unhappy with their contracts be willing to skip the mandatory minicamp and incur the fines that come with that because they know what's waiting for them at the end of the process. Dallas and CeeDee Lamb continue to have conversations about a new deal.
Yeah, and Micah Parsons is another one, right, that they'll keep an eye on there.
They have time on him, yeah.
We will see him at the NBA Finals for sure.
Sure,
the question
absolutely.
is, will we see him on the practice field? Look, wide receivers are getting paid. Look at these numbers. By average value, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, first, second, and fourth largest contracts by a receiver of all time. All of them got extensions with massive guarantees. This has become the most valuable non-quarterback position, right?
It has, and you start to wonder how long this will go because, 7 just got picked in the first round this year. You start to wonder if at some point it hits a ceiling and people say, do we really have to pay this much when there's this much talent coming into the league every year? But CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, if you do that list again in a few weeks, I think might be at the very top.
At the top of it all, yeah. Again, the Cowboys waiting on there, and we'll see what the Vikings wind up doing. Now, you mentioned OTAs. They're underway, and all eyes, of course, are going to be on one of the most interesting quarterback battles we've seen in a long time. It's between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, 97 days from their first game against Atlanta. And while for this moment, Russ is QB1, our RG3 had an interesting take on how he would utilize Justin Fields this year.
You create a red zone package for Justin Fields. Call it the field zone package, right? Allow him to use his athleticism and his running ability to punch in touchdowns. Then you can build RPOs off of that, which he excelled at in college. You can build boots and keepers and nakeds off of that to keep the defense off balance and allow him to stretch the field. And it gets his feet wet and allows him to have an impact on the game.
So RG3 thinks that Fields should be on the field. Russell Wilson said in the Pittsburgh Tribune Review that he agrees. Justin is obviously one of the most talented guys in the NFL. You know all the things he can do, the player, the quarterback that he is. He's dynamic. It's all about us winning. That's the focus. I think it would strike fear in some defenses, that's for sure. And Mike T, that is 100% typical Russell Wilson. And I mean that positively, not negatively. He always says exactly the right thing. The reality is that can't be what he wants. The idea of sharing the role, that's not what any starting quarterback wants. It certainly isn't what Justin Fields wants. So, Mike T, how do you see this situation as it gets started?
Well, again, I think if I'm the Steelers, not all quarterback competitions are the same. Both quarterbacks are going to be free agents, and they both want the job long term. If I'm the Steelers, Greeny, as you've mentioned, if you could have Justin Fields as your quarterback, he may be there for the next decade. Here's one other interesting wrinkle to this. Rex Ryan would agree with what Russell Wilson suggested. When we were at the Jets and he talked about a Tim Tebow package, he said, look, Mike, when a defense has to prepare for one quarterback and not much for the other, it makes it that much more difficult to defend. So a little wrinkle from a defensive-minded head coach like Mike Tomlin may make sense. It just creates some other, idiosyncrasies within the organization. But from a X and O standpoint, it's a very interesting discussion.